The Maslock issue, financial loss at Maslock, and the former CEO has been jailed 10 years. Quite a number of papers are carrying that story today, but I'm going to read from citynewsroom.com. Two main headlines on this. The former Maslock CEO jailed 10 years for causing financial loss. Another headline here says, former Maslock CEO will be extradited to serve jail term. The first one, let me go into that story. Former CEO of Maslock, Sedina Tamaklo Ationu, has been sentenced to 10 years in prison with hard labor, while former chief operating officer of Maslock, Daniel Axim, has been jailed for 5 years with hard labor. Now, they were both found guilty on 78 counts of causing financial loss to the state, stealing, conspiracy to steal, money laundering, and causing loss to public property in contravention of the public procurement law. Now, the two have been on trial since 2019. The state called 6 witnesses in all, while the first accused person, Sedina Tamaklo, was tried in absentia as she absconded after obtaining permission of the court to seek medical checkup outside the country. The second accused person, however, testified in person but did not call any witnesses. Now, the offenses for which the accused persons have been found guilty border on the appropriation of monies meant for Maslock activities between the period of 2013 and 2016. In one of the instances, the convicts were found to have withdrawn 500,000 Ghana cedis as a loan for Obatampa Savings and Loans Company, but demanded a refund of the amount when the financial institution refused to yield a 24% on the matter. Evidence presented by the state suggested that even though there was evidence that the said refund to the convicts, same was not reflected in the accounts and the books of the complainant institution, Maslock. Now, the duo were also found guilty of appropriating over 1.7 million Ghana cedis meant for a sensitization exercise. According to the facts of the case, Maslock was expected to provide 20 Ghana cedis each for 85,300 beneficiaries, amounting to the 1.7 million Ghana cedis. However, only 1,300 Ghana cedis was spent for the intended purpose, with the rest being misappropriated by the convicts. Equally, only 579,800 out of the 1.4 million Ghana cedis was disbursed to the victims of an inferno at Katamanso, with the 2 accused persons appropriating the remainder. Wow. The case also involved the purchase of some vehicles for Maslock, where the monies were dispersed for the said purchase were more than the market price of the vehicles at the time. And in a similar situation with the purchase of some Samsung phones. The evidence suggests that the amounts were higher in the prevailing market price than the prevailing market price at the time, even though they were bought in bulk. Let me start with you. Awal.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, and good morning to our cherished viewers. I think it's a welcoming news looking at how the trial has started from 2019 up to today. And again, the trial has gotten to its logical conclusion, even though they are entitled to really appeal, because in the course of the trial, she had to leave the country. Some people stood as sureties, and along the line, they were asked to produce her. They couldn't produce her. They had to pay some fine of 5 million Ghana cedi. I don't know if they paid that amount. And Alex Mood and Gavivina Tamaklo, the two of them stood surety for her, and she didn't return. So I am really happy that if you check the judgment, it is not as other judgments where you find that the person will go and spend the jail term and that ends it. This one, the person will spend the jail term of the 10 years and 5 years respectively, then the person will also have to pay every amount of money that has been lost to the state. That's very important, because what we need is not really to incarcerate anyone, but for us to get our monies back. So if we're getting our monies back without interest, it means that the person can save the jail term as really the interest for what has happened. And if you check over the years, there are a lot of politicians who have gone through these processes, and conviction were secured, and they were jailed. And coincidentally and interestingly, almost all the politicians who have passed through court processes like this and have really been jailed are all NDC persons, interestingly, from the Rawlings time, from the Atamil's time, and President Mohammed's time. Almost all the officials that from 1992 that have really passed through this process of causing financial loss to the state, theft, and embezzlement, and so on, are members of one particular political party. And that's really instructive for us to really see that. Why is it that, that's the question a lot of Ghanaians are asking, why is it that almost all the time when you hear causing financial loss to the state, it's only people from one political party? Because in the past, I remember in 2007, 2008, there were a lot of allegations about people who served in the Kufuor administration, who they believe that they have embezzled state funds. Some were accused of really theft and so on. You remember the Ghana at 50. There were a lot of press conferences by Fifi Kwete, then as propaganda secretary, that a lot of people had misappropriated our funds, especially Kojo Mpieni and Tarzan. When they came into power, they prosecuted about 13 different cases, and almost all the cases went to its logical conclusion, and the officers were exonerated by the court. And mind you, in Ghana, no one is guilty until the person really is convicted by a competent court of jurisdiction, or the person plead guilty simpliciter. Just in the case of the venture capital, these are officials who were appointed by former President Mahama, who were accused of theft and some few other misappropriation. They went to court and pleaded guilty simpliciter, and they were asked to pay the amounts of money, even though they were convicted, but they were asked to pay the amounts of money with some interest. I don't know if they have finished paying and so on. So this one is a welcoming news, and this is also to really tell everyone, especially some of us in public service, that the beginning of the memo that really the CEO will sign emanate from somewhere. And if you are not careful, you may not even be a beneficiary of really the amount of money, but you may end up being in jail. You remember the case of Abuga Pele, the Jida Rots. The court admitted that Abuga Pele was not a beneficiary of the amounts of money that was disbursed, but because he was the CEO, he authorized it, so he had to really face jail term for authorizing that. Again, when you check this one too, the chief operating officer, according to really the court documents, was the one who started all the memos and so on, and the CEO authorized it, and they expended all these amounts of money. What is quite disheartening is that if there's an inferno in Kantamanto, and the government takes a decision that go and really disburse these amounts of money to the traders, so that the traders will have some respite, I don't think you'll be able to pay everything. Out of 1.4 million, you didn't even give half of the money to the traders. You had to really misappropriate that amount of money to yourself. I think that's unfortunate. So I will entreat the Attorney General and the officers that are in charge of this to expedite the extradition process, so that they can bring her back to this country to continue the process. And again, we look at if really she has some amounts of money in her account, or some properties that can really be confiscated by the state to be sold, just like it happened in the Woyomi case, where some of his properties at Kaprais, East Legon, and some few other places were confiscated and sold to individuals to really defray the 51 million that he really took that belongs to the state. So I am really happy about this, but it's just a wake-up call to some of us in public service that whatever you're doing, make sure that you do it and do it right, or else if you're not careful, you may not be a beneficiary of it. The beneficiary, together with you, will also face jail term.
All right. Eric.
Yes, thank you so much. May I extend good morning to a very young man who is watching us, Prince Adam Kotoko. He said to me that he'll be watching me this morning. And good morning. Yes, with reference to the matter, let me first put it on record that the NDC is not opposed in any way or in any form to the principles of probity, accountability of public officers. We all must know as Ghanaians that once you rise to a level of that, there are certain expectations of you. We, however, only have concerns where we feel that the wheels of justice which grind slowly and is supposed to be, or the law which is supposed to be blind, seemingly, when you look at it, some of the ends do not meet. The fact that she was even sentenced in absentia, indeed, I read in one of the news articles where they said she absconded, and I marveled at the choice of that word, because in the matter in point, she sought the permission of the court.
Yes.
And it was on health grounds. And human health can deteriorate or even get better, depending on situations we all cannot tell. And I think while she was there, she did make it known to the court through her lawyers that her condition has not been better, and as a result, she was still seeking medical care. Aside that, too, there were two interlocutory injunctions she has actually filed as well, which were also pending. And so there was enough reason for, we have all known court proceedings in Ghana, where we have had a lot of time for matters. And as we even speak, there's a matter in court that we all thought should be of relevance to all of us by now, but it's still pending and has not been called yet. But for her to be sentenced in absentia, which meant that she's not been given that fair hearing, because we all know that even the natural justice requires that she be given a fair hearing as well too. And that equally did not happen. It could never have been the case that she would deliberately want to stay away from the court, and when there's enough evidence to prove that she was not well. I thought, and we thought as a party, that she just needed to be given a little time.
Weren't her lawyers in court, though?
Yes, her lawyers were in court.
So they represent her anyway. So then I'm looking at the issue of whether it was fair or not fair, or, if she had been given a fair hearing or not. Because I think if the lawyers were there, I thought.
Oh no, it is right to have your lawyers there, but unfortunately, it will not suffice, because your physical presence also is worthy, because you will then actually even enter, I don't know the legal terms, an appearance, or you could also have something to share based on proceedings as were ongoing as well too. And it is just why I feel so sad about this. I, however, feel that this is not the end to it, so long as there's a window of opportunity for her lawyers to appeal in order to actually seek further clarification on the judgment that has been passed. I think there's an opportunity for her and her lawyers to do so. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the attempt, the Deputy Attorney General, well, not the Deputy Attorney General, but the Deputy Attorney General, he said that the government is working hard to extradite her to Ghana to come and serve her sentence. I'm not sure if you have any thoughts on that.
The right to do so lies in the bosom of government, and so the Deputy Attorney General is right to, it's within his powers to say so. I would only throw caution that we just ought to look at, and I'm sure that even before they would want to do this, they would seek better evidence further. sure that she's definitely why she's delayed. She delayed in actually coming over. Okay. Yes, it is equally also instructive, just as my brother said, that once we are public officers, much is expected of us because at your door, and so care always needs to be taken when in such positions. But it is the more reason why I feel that this case has been long, since 2019, and therefore she's been around all through until when her health became the reason for her to seek medical treatment. And so she had no reason at all to run away from the law. And there was no way she would have even thought she could run away from the law.
Yeah. Okay, let's make progress. Yes, you want to touch?
Yes. So when I hear that there was no fair hearing, I'm really surprised. You asked the right question, that indeed the lawyers were there. I believe what we have gotten to as a state now, I remember when we had the court cases of when former President Mahama was challenging the results in court. You had Major Rojo Metul-Nunu testifying via Zoom. So if she really has she requested for trial by online and that wasn't accepted? No, I didn't really hear that she requested and they did that. If we are to bring her back to Ghana, even if she is sick on the sick bed, we can still bring her back to Ghana and the state will take care of her. You remember in the case of Chachuchi Kata, when he was incarcerated at Nsawam, Chachuchi Kata was always coming back to Accra to be treated. He was almost lying, because I remember those days when we were doing the Free Chachu movement. He was in a hospital here in Accra. He was not really in there. Quite recently, one of the people who were incarcerated for this NCA 4.1 million causing financial loss, Alhaji Mumina, who was the deputy National Security Coordinator. He spent a lot of the time in the hospital, and later the president had to give him presidential pardon, which was done about 3 months ago or so. So her being brought back to Ghana is very important. If she comes to Ghana, if she's still ill, in US, she may be doing it herself. But in Ghana, our laws permit that if the person is sick, the state can take care of the person. So she should just come back to Ghana. Start the jail term.
She should save her money and come back
exactly.
to Ghana and be taken care of by the state.
So that at least we can take care of her.
Well,